We'll move on now to look at authorship, which is point 7 in your notes. It's important that you realise that the author is not necessarily the owner of the copyright. The author will have the moral rights in the work, whereas the rights of the owner are commercial and economic. So section 9 then of the Act says that the author of a work is the person who creates it, and section 9 goes on to state that in the case of a sound recording or film, the author is the person who made the arrangements necessary for making the recording or film. In the case of a broadcast, the person making the broadcast. And in the case of a broadcast which relays another broadcast by reception and immediate retransmission, is the person making the other broadcast, who's the author. In the case of a typographical arrangement of a published edition, the publisher is the author, and you probably guessed that anyway. I want to talk for a little while about computer-generated works, because computer-generated works presumably have to have an author, and that is defined in section 9 as the person who makes the arrangement for the creation of the works. However, of course, the problem is that we're talking about computer-generated works, and what does computer-generated mean? Well, section 178 tells us that, and it says computer-generated works are defined as work generated by a computer in circumstances such that there is no human author of the works. And now we have a very circular sort of argument going on. So section 9 says it's the person who makes the arrangements for the creation of the works. Section 178 says there's no human author of the works. Now, if you don't know what a computer-generated work is, I would urge you to go to Google and type in William Latham, and he is the person that is generally considered to be right there at the top of the tree of computer-generated works, and he writes the most wonderful programs whereby you perhaps type in something on an x-axis and a y-axis, hit the button, and you have generated the most fabulous pictures that almost look like amoebic spirals and all sorts of strange, very sort of organic pictures. And people tend to use them for posters, perhaps put them on t-shirts and so on, and they're really rather beautiful and very colourful, but they require no type of input really from the person operating the program. Now, if you want a program written for you that will computer generate the work, I have it on good authority from friends in the industry that you need about 20 people and about 9 months or more to write such a program. So if you ask for such a program to be written for you, you are talking about investing a large sum of money, and you would want to have copyright of the output. So if you are ever in a situation when you're working in marketing where such a thing comes to you and you need to ask for something like that to be written, please write a contract that says that you own the copyright of the output of anything that the computer generates for you. So do please go and have a look at William Latham's work. I'm sure you'll find it absolutely thrilling. It is really beautiful stuff. And then you'll really understand the difficulties of this rather circular argument that's going on between section 9 and section 178. Now, as I said, a company may be an author of a work, and occasionally the person who provides the material for the work will not be for the author. So, for example, I gave you the case last week of the reporter writing down Lord Rosebery's speech, which was Water and Lane, and the authorship of the reports lay with the reporter. That was the authorship. Now, authorship may be joint, where there's a collaboration between 2 or more authors, where you produce a work which isn't severable into distinct parts, where you read the book, for example, if it's a book, and you can't tell who's written which book. And a work is only of unknown authorship if the identity of the author is not ascertainable by reasonable inquiry. So when you see anon written on a piece of work, that means that a reasonable inquiry has been made, but they haven't been able to ascertain who actually is the author of the work. And we'll take a break here.